Okay guys, following up from last week with the story of the Dragon's Balls, I think it's about time to go over the sequel, Dragon's Ball Z. Like everyone else on Earth, I was more familiar with this than the show that came before it, so I actually know what happens. So it takes place 5 years after Goku and some hoes settle down, and you know life is chill, and the main guy even has a son now, so we in the future. But then some lame ass alien pulls up and sends a farmer to the next dimension, and then hosts the green man. Anyway, Goku was chilling at the old man's crib with Bloomer and the bald guy, when all of a sudden the lame ass alien pulls up on them too, and says that he's Goku's brother because it turns out that Goku was an alien. Then the old man confirms that it might actually be true, cause his grandfather actually found him in the woods and he used to be an op, but then he buzzed his head open and became real. Then the alien finesses Goku's son and tells Goku that if he doesn't put 100 humans on a shirt, then he'll wet up the blog, so it's all bad. So the green man pulls up and decides to team up with Goku in order to put a stop to the alien's nonsense. So they pull up on the alien while they think he's lacking, but he ends up giving them both the hands at the same time, so all is almost lost. But then the son gets drunk out of nowhere and hurts the alien, so he tries to put his own nephew in a blunt. So Goku pulls a kamikaze on the alien, and the green man sends them both to another realm. As the alien leaves this dimension, he tells the heroes that he just relayed a message to his alien niggas, and that they'll be there in half a year to put the planet in their blunt. Then the green man finishes the job, and Goku's allies pull up to pour 40 for their nigga, and make plans to bring him back. Then the green man finishes the sun, but oh well. So Goku is now in the other world, and he is told that in order to train with the king in the north, then he has to run across the bridge so that's dead. So the green man takes Goku's son to the wilderness and starts bullying him and leaves him alone to die. Then the son goes King Kong, so the green man puts a stop to that nonsense. Meanwhile, all the irrelevant guys are training for some reason, even though we all know they're not going to be worth anything when the villains show up. So finally Goku makes it to the end of the bridge and he meets the king of the north in Winterfell, who tells him that the aliens were assholes who did the most until their guardian got sick of them and put them all on the news. Then Goku learns some new techniques and you know gets even cooler. Eventually the aliens finally get there and put an entire sea on his shirts, but don't worry because all the civilians managed to evacuate somehow right before it happened. Then the heroes pull up on them and the jihad begins. The bum was the first one to go to the next dimension because the guy he was fighting was a terrorist. Then the big alien starts handing out L's left and right, so the dog goes kamikaze too, and fortunately this is his second time dying, so we think he's gone for good. So the Cyclops spends his last energy trying to take out the big guy, but it does nothing, so things are looking trash. Also, it turns out that the green man is an alien too, and their planet has the Dragon's Balls, so I guess all the guys can be brought back to this dimension next season. Then the green alien saves Goku's son from being a pack, and the son gets in his feelings. Just before the big guy can initiate the series finale, Goku shows up and runs a fade on him and leaves him at the smaller alien's feet. And also the smaller alien is like a billion times stronger than the bigger alien, and his name is like Vegetable. So Vegetable gets the big alien out of the way, and Goku's son and the bald guy fall back so Goku and Vegetable can throw hands. So at first Goku is giving him the beats, but then Vegetable becomes King Kong and starts acting like it too. So Goku's son and the bald guy show back up to do something I guess, but they're worthless. So the samurai from the Green Man saga shows back up and cuts off Vegetable's tail, so now he's back to normal, but he's still taking W's. So Goku and the bald guy throw a bomb at Vegetable, but it misses. So Goku's son catches it and throws it back at him, and it looks like maybe the problem is over, but now he's back. Then he puts the samurai on a stretcher, but somehow conveniently Goku's son's tail grew back, and he goes ape and starts beating on Vegetable until Vegetable finesses one of the bald guy's techniques and brings the son back to normal. But the son's fat ass falls on him, so he ends up breaking his back. Just before the bald guy can send him to the next dimension, Goku stops him and lets the Vegetable go because he wants to fight him again one day. So as you can tell already, this series is more like the one came before it. Now this next season is my favorite. Like what I'm about to go over is the peak of the entire franchise and arguably the most iconic part of any anime in the Western world. So it starts out with Goku and the others on a stretcher in the hospital when the guys show up to chill. Then the Negro genie shows up and reveals that the Guardian of the Earth had a ship that can take them to the Green Man's planet. So some stuff happens and Bloomer and the bald guy and Goku's son all take the ship to the Green Man's planet. Meanwhile, Vegetable is getting healed up when he learns that the Emperor of the Universe, who we've somehow never heard of until now, has one of the Dragon's Balls on the Green Man's planet. But Vegetable feels some type of way because he wants to wish all to himself, so now his old boss is his new op. So the guys make it to the Green Man planets and the Emperor, who we'll call Fridge, has been sending his niggas to bully all the Green Men and finesse their orbs. Also, Vegetable sends some lame ass op that looks like Randall from Monsters Inc. to the next dimension. Meanwhile, Bloomer's real nigga father made a spaceship for Goku to travel in, so now the main character can get even stronger and save the day like always. So one day Fridge and his set start pressing some Green Men and finessing their orbs while Goku's son and the bald guy are watching. So Goku's son saves a green boy despite the bald guy's intentions to remain a pussy, and eventually he got chased by some pink ogre. Then Vegetable Vegetable runs into the same ogre and gives him the beats. Then the ogre reveals that it was actually Frieza that put his whole planet in the dirt, so Vegetable sends him to another realm. Then Vegetable puts a whole village on his shirts and finesses their orbs too, so things are looking really trash for the Green Man as a whole. I mean, they're taking even bigger loss than Earth. So Goku, Sin, and the ball guy bring the Green Boy back to their lair, and the boy tells them about an old Green Man who can help make them even stronger. Also, the King of the North has accepted all the niggas in the next dimension as new students, and they have a group chat with Goku, but then the king tells Goku to stay away from Fridge because he's like the strongest being in the universe. Anyway, Fridge's right hand man pulls up on Vegetable and transforms to give him the hands, and then takes him back to the base, but then Vegetable escapes, so now the right hand man has to find him or else he'll turn up missing. So the Green Boy takes the ball guy to the old Green Man, and his power level increases or something, but who cares, he's still weaker than everyone else anyway. So Vegetable pulls up on him, but then the right hand man pulls up on Vegetable and they run a fade. And let me just stop to say that scene is actually pretty cool to look at. But anyway, Vegetable sends the right hand man to the other realm and finesses the hero's orbs, but while he's leaving he runs into Goku's son. And let me just stop again and say that here's around the time I first started watching this show. I mean, I was watching Zekai, so not really the original show, and also I was watching the abridged version because it was around this point at the same time. And looking back, this is actually a pretty decent place to start at. I mean, of course I went back and saw the seasons before this, but I just mean when I first started getting into this franchise, the first episode I saw was when this happened. Anyway, the son tells Vegetable that his radar is just a clock, and then Vegetable hands him an L and goes on about his day. So Goku's son meets up with the ball guy and the Green Boy, and the Green Boy takes him to the Green Old Man to get his power boosted too. Meanwhile, Vegetable notices that all the orbs he finessed from the Green Man have been finessed from him in return, and he realizes that the son is behind all of this, so he chases after them, and then the ball guy notices and tries to stop him. So after the son's powers increase, he almost catches a fade with Vegetable, until they notice that 5 strong ass Power Ranger niggas are coming to wet up the block, and Vegetable knows that's too much for even him to deal with, so he teams up with the son and the ball guy to stop them. So they go to the orbs and give the Vegetable eternal life, but before he can do it, the 5 Rangers pull up and immediately make them look goofy. So the Purple Ranger leaves and lets everyone else do what they want. The first match is Goku, Son, and the ball guy versus the Green Ranger, but Vegetable saves him and gets him out of the way, so it's the White Ranger versus Vegetable next. And the White Ranger gives the absolute beats to Vegetable, so the son and the ball guy try to return the favor, but they only end up in stretchers. So right before the White Ranger increases his body count, the main character finally shows up and gets him out of the way. Then he holds the Blue and Red Rangers, so the Red Ranger pisses off to find the Purple Ranger. Then Vegetable gets the other Rangers out of the way, and eventually the Purple Ranger comes back and Vegetable pisses off. So the Purple Ranger and Goku throw hands, then the Purple Ranger takes his body and starts doing nonsense with it. So the Purple Ranger and Goku's body starts to throw hands with Goku's son and the ball guy, and also the Vegetable sends the Red Ranger to the next dimension. Eventually the bodies get switched back, and the Purple Ranger ends up in a frog's body, but oh well. So Goku gets put in a healing chamber while Vegetable takes a nap. So the ball guy goes to find the Green Boy and get the password for the orbs, because they're different on this planet, while the Green Boy is coincidentally looking for them. While this is going on, Fridge has been holding a Green Man because the orbs weren't working for him because he didn't have the password. Eventually the boy and the ball guy meet up, and they finesse the orbs so they can make a wish behind Vegetable's back. And since they can only wish 1% at a time, they wish the Green Man from Earth back to life so the Guardian of the Orbs can come back too. But then Vegetable wakes up and realizes that he's been octuple crossed and gets in his feelings, so he pulls up on the guys and demands immortality. But then the Green Old Man dies, and along with him Vegetable's hopes and dreams. Also the Green Man is on the planet, and he comes across the guy that Fridge just bullied, and he combines with him and becomes exponentially stronger, cause that's how it works I guess. So Fridge pulls up and transforms and starts beating on niggas, but then the green guy shows up and is equally matched, so he transforms and starts beating on niggas again. But then Goku's son stops him, so he transforms again, and this time it's really hopeless for everyone, but Vegetable tries to step up and almost gets put in a coma. Finally Goku arrives to bail their asses out once again, and it looks like he can actually run the fade, so Fridge sends Vegetable to the next dimension for having any enjoyment. Then Fridge and Goku throw hands, but it's not enough to stop the Emperor, so Goku hits him with the bomb, but it's still not enough, so Fridge gets the Green Man out of the way and puts the ball guy in a shirt, and Goku changes forms and gives him the hands. Also they wish all the niggas that got put in a shirt by Fridge back to life and send them to Earth. So while Goku and the Fridge are throwing hands, the guy gets cut in half so it's over. Then Fridge still tries some shit, so Goku gets him out of the way and tries to escape. So while the niggas on Earth are waiting, it's revealed that Goku escaped and has been chilling somewhere, so all is well I guess. Honestly, with a few changes to the story, the series could have ended at this point, but you know, it was too popular to just let go. So now we're gonna go over another really good season, probably the last one for that matter. Fast forward a year, all the niggas that got turned into packs are back, and now there's a new problem because Fridge is back with his father to put the entire planet on his shirts. But while the niggas are watching, a mysterious guy shows up and gets Fridge and his whole army out of the way. And then Goku finally shows up and explains that he's Vegetable and Bloomer's son from the future, and that he's there to save Goku from catching some virus, and also to warn him that some survivor from Hydra made some robots in the future that sent all the niggas to another realm, and the guy from the future is also there to find a way to stop the robots. So the Green Man overhears all of this with his big ass ears and helps Goku tell the other niggas the basic rundown. So 3 years of training later, together, and 2 lame-ass robots start bullying a town. Then they hand deliver the bum and L. So after this, all the niggas pull up, and Goku catches a fit with some fat-ass robot and starts giving it the beats. But it turns out that Goku didn't take the medicine he was given for his virus because he didn't feel like it, so he has to be carried out. Meanwhile, Vegetable steps in, and it turns out that he can also transform, and the other guy makes a run for it. Also, the time-traveling guy shows up and sees that it's not the same robot, so he helps them look for the robot ops. Also, Bloomer and the time-traveling guy from the present show up, and she reveals that the robot that pissed off is actually the creator of the robots or something. So the other niggas pull up on the lab, but then the robot activates 2 more of 11 siblings. One is a guy called 17, and the other is a female called 18. And then they get the guy that made them out of the way because he was trash. Then they free a 3rd robot that their maker told them not to, but oh well. So the female robot throws hands with Vegetable and completely hoes him, which caused the other guys to try to join them, but they also end up in a stretcher. But that pussy ass bug guy refuses to help his comrades in a time of need, and requests like a bitch for the robots to lay off his best friend. But predictably, they just tell him to piss off, but then the female robot kisses him, so he gets a hard on for her. After their L, all the guys get in their feelings and split up, while the Green Man goes to the Guardian to reunite to gain ultimate power. So the Green Man and the Guardian fuse, and now he's the strongest character in the show, but it looks like there's yet another problem, because there's also some guy doing nonsense. Also, Bloomer reports that there's another time machine that wasn't used by the guy from the future, which complicates things even further. Eventually, the Green Man pulls up on the guy causing problems, and it's a bug that's been absorbing people. Anyway, it turns out that the bug is from the future, but not the same future the other guy came from, and he's also a robot that has the DNA of most of the main characters, and he needs to absorb the guy and the girl robots to reach his true form. Then he pisses off, and the rest of the guys show up to help find him. Also, the bug guy and the guy from the future pull up on the lab, and put the present version of the bug in his blunt, which is like the bug guy's first W in decades. Anyway, Goku has finally recovered from his disease, and decides to train with this in a SM chamber that lets you live in a year on the inside, when only a day has passed on the outside. Then he tells Vegetable about it, so he can actually do something with his life. So Vegetable and his son from the future go training first, while the nigga that actually thought up the idea goes second. Like, what the hell? While this is going on, the Green Man pulls up on the guy robot for a fade, and they're both equally matched, but then the bug shows up and gets the Green Man out of the way. Also, he throws hands with the 3rd robot, and the robot's actually pretty strong, but it doesn't matter because he absorbs the guy robots, but the Cyclops manages to stall them before he can absorb the girl. Then Goku pulls up and saves his niggas, while Vegetable concludes his training and starts throwing hands with the bug. But then the bug exploits the fact that Vegetable's a dumbass and gets him to absorb the girl robot so he can have a good fight. And while this is going on, the bug guy was sent to destroy the robot with the remote, but he's whipped by a pussy he's not even getting, which makes as little sense as it sounds, and decides to break the remote. Since the guy from the future is the only fighter in the entire season with common sense, he tries to stop the bug, but it's too late, and he absorbs the girl, and ends up handing Elsa to the bug guy, the 3rd robot, and Vegetable. Meanwhile, Goku and his son have been chilling in the chamber, and they master their transformation, so that's cool. So the guy from the future and the bug throw hands, and the bug ends up bullying him, but then he decides to spare him and hold some tournament to see who can stop him. Also, the bug puts a lot of niggas on his shirts, so the heroes go to the Green Man's home planet to find the Green Boy and make him the guardian of the Earth so they can make new orbs. So fast forward to the tournament, and some lame shows up and gets put on a stretcher. Then Goku and the bug throw hands, and it looks like they're equally matched, so Goku steps out and makes his son catch the fade with the bug, but the son only gets the beats. Then the bug gets bored because he wants a challenge, so he has a bunch of kids and makes them bully the heroes. So the 3rd robot jumps up and tries to kamikaze the bug, but it doesn't work out because Bloomer and her fam had his GI device removed, so the bug sends him to the next dimension, and for some reason, the idea that some robot he barely even knew that tried to put his own father in his shirts is now taking an L is enough to make Goku's son snap, and he reaches a new transformation that completely hoes the bug and makes him spit out their female robots. But the bug isn't having it, so he tries to self-destruct, so Goku takes him to the king in the north in Winterfell, and they all end up on the paper. But not really, because the bug comes back and puts the guy from the future on his shirt. So Vegetable gets in his feelings and tries to attack, but only ends up needing a doctor. And then Goku's son ends up breaking his arm trying to save him. So Goku's son and the bug have a final beam struggle, and Vegetable finally becomes useful and attacks the bug from the back, allowing the son to send him to another realm. So eventually it wish all the fallen niggas back to life, including the male robots, and Goku refuses to come back because he's a magnet for ops or something, and he leaves the mantle of Earth's hero down to his son. Honestly, this was a pretty lit season, and a great way to end the series. Okay guys, make sure that when you subscribe you hit the notification button, because that lets you know whenever I'm— just kidding, they completely ruined it and made a lame ass season after this. If you watched my Dragon Ball underwhelming video, you would know that I don't really like the Bubblegum Saga. I mean, it's better than all the current nonsense, but it's still not as good as what came before it, so it's whatever. Anyway, starts out 7 years after the defeat of the bug, and Goku's son is now a teenager in high school who fights crime in his transformed state undercover. He gets the attention of some girl whose father was the same lame that got put in a stretcher by the bug. Somehow the father got credit for sending the bug to another dimension because he's a fraud ass nigga, and he gets rich as hell. Also, Vegetable's son is now a kid, and he's not cool at all. Also, it turns out that Goku has another son, and he's even more annoying than Vegetable's son, so it's all bad. And to make matters worse, they can both transform. Like, what the hell? It completely fucking defeats the purpose of the original transformation, and now it isn't cool anymore. Also, the bald guy married the female robot, because she's not really a robot, she's more of a cyborg, but whatever. And they have a kid together. Anyway, it turns out that Goku is coming back for one day, because the old man's sister is letting him, and he tells his son about it, so he and the other niggas start training or something. So the tournament begins, and it's a bunch of boring ass phase that no one's trying to see. Also, there's some guy that's like the most important person in the universe or something, but knowing this franchise, what does that really mean? Anyway, some weirdo starts giving the beats to the fraud's daughter, so Goku's son gets in his feelings, and then throws hands with some guy, and gets jumped by the weirdos. Anyway, the universe ruler reveals that he's there, because some wizard is trying to free a monster they handed Elsa all the rules in the next dimension. And it turns out that the monster is still on Earth, and can only be released through lots of energy, so the wizard possessed two weirdos, so they can throw hands with the heroes, and release that energy. So the universe ruler and the main niggas find a spaceship to put a stop to the wizard's sick plans. So it turns out that the wizard has some guy with him that can turn people to stone by spitting on them, and he gets the green man and the bald guy out of the way. Then all the truly relevant characters enter the spaceship and start running face with the niggas there and sending them to another dimension. So then Goku's son and the guy with the spit throw hands, but the son doesn't take a W, so Vegetable feels some type of way. Then Vegetable gets possessed by the wizard, and they get taken to the torment grounds, so Vegetable can put some people on his shirts so that Goku can fight him. Also, the monster that's been sealed can be released. So while Goku and Vegetable are throwing hands, Vegetable reveals that he's doing this because he's in his feelings about turning soft and actually starting to care about his family like some sort of pussy or something. Meanwhile, the universe ruler and Goku's son are looking for the ops when suddenly the monster gets released, and he's some bubblegum monster that can regenerate. So Goku and Vegetable stop throwing hands because they feel the energy, but then Vegetable throws a cheap shot at Goku because he wants to fight the gum all by himself. Then the bubblegum hands Goku's son an L, and then gets the guy with the spit out of the way, which brings the green man and the bald guy back. So the bubblegum monster ends up throwing hands with Vegetable, and also the green man tries to turn the wizard into a pack. Since Vegetable couldn't take a W, he just kamikazed, but once again the bubblegum can regenerate, so the sacrifice was basically a waste of time. Anyway, Bloomer assembles the orbs and wishes all the niggas on his shirt since the tournament started back to life. Also, the green man and the bald guy tell Goku what's happened, so he takes his other son and Vegetable's son and gets them out of the way. So all the background characters get concerned because they think the main characters are on his shirts. Also, the universe ruler and some guy helps Goku's important son and also trying to make him stronger. So it turns out that Goku learned some fusion technique from some aliens, and he and the green man teach the unimpactful son and Vegetable's son how to fuse because that'll make them the strongest character on the show, and that's how it works for some reason. But then Goku has to leave because his day is up, so he leaves the rest of the training up to the green man. Meanwhile, the wizard and the bubblegum have been handing out L's left and right and sending niggas to the next dimension. So Goku pulls up and throws hands with the bubblegum, and also Goku presents to be constipated for a couple hours so he can show off his new transformation. Then Goku tells the bubblegum that a new challenger is waiting for him, and the bubblegum sends the wizard to another realm and starts wrecking stuff worldwide. So Goku's other son and Vegetable's son fuse together and throw hands with the bubblegum, but then they get the beat so they have to piss off. Then Goku pulls up on the next dimension as relevant son, and the universe ruler's ancestor unlocks the son's potential. While this is going on, the bubblegum becomes friends with the lame ass fraud, and that makes him a good guy now or something. Eventually, some psycho try to get the frog and the dog out of the way, so the bubblegum expels the evil out of his body in order to maintain control of himself, but then the evil eats the rest of him, and the bubblegum takes a new form. So the bubblegum pulls up on the heroes because he wants a fade, but they tell him to wait. So he puts everyone in the planet on his shirt, except for the Cyclops, the doll, and the fraud. Then he gets Goku's wife out of the way because she was being annoying, and then eventually he catches a fade with Vegetable's son and Goku's other son fused together. But they're lame, so they stall and waste everyone's time, so the green man traps them all in another dimension. But it turns out that the bubblegum is so strong, he can rip through other dimensions, so he pisses off and puts the remaining heroes on his blunts. But then the fuse guy manages to rip through dimensions too, and throw hands with a gum, but it doesn't work out. Luckily, Goku's important son shows up, and throws hands with a gum, and completely hoes him. But then some stuff happens, and the bubblegum absorbs the fused guy and the green guy, so things are looking bleak for the main ones. Eventually, Goku shows up to help his real son, but the bubblegum ends up absorbing him too, so now Goku is all alone. Then Vegetable gets brought back to life, and fuses with Goku to stop the bum. And this isn't like the fusion before, like this one is supposed to be permanent, and it's done with earrings, and the fusion is like the strongest character in the series at this point. Then the gum turns the fusion into a candy so he can eat him, but the fusion is so powerful that it's still giving him the hands even in the new form. So yeah, this is the most powerful character in the universe, at least at the time this was written. But then the bubblegum eats him, but he was able to create a barrier over himself so he doesn't get absorbed. Then the fusion splits and Vegetable breaks the earrings, so they can never do that nonsense again. Then the heroes free all the niggas that got absorbed, including the fat version of the bubblegum, and when they all get out, the bubblegum transforms again into what looks like a kid, but it's actually its original form. Then the bubblegum puts the earth and everyone in it on a shirt, and the only guys saved are Goku, Vegetable, the Green Boy Guardian, the Fraud, and his dog. So the bubblegum ends up in the next dimension and runs a fade with Goku, but then Vegetable steps in and he ends up getting warned out. Then the fraud steps in and gets bullied, so the fat version of the bubblegum tries to stall, but he also ends up getting the beats. Eventually they manage to wish the earth back with the green man's orbs, and they have all the people on it lend energy to Goku's bomb, so so he can get the bubblegum out of the way once and for all. So Goku bums the bubblegum and sends it to the next dimension, but then he asks that it gets reincarnated as a good guy, and that's what ends up happening. So 10 years later, there's another tournament, and also Goku's son that matters has a child with the fraud's daughter. So at the tournament, Goku meets the bubblegum's reincarnation. That's like a Negro, an Indian, I don't know. And the series ends on a lame note, with Goku abandoning everyone to train the kid. Overall, the show is pretty lit, except for the last season, like that was kind of whatever. I mean, like I said before, it's still better than the new direction the series has taken, but still, compared to Frieza and the Bug, this season was ass. Honestly, if I could have decided how the show would end, it would have ended on the Green Man's planet with everyone except for Bloomer and Goku's son being sent to the next dimension. That probably would have been the best ending. If not, I would just end it after the Bug got killed, because the way it actually ended was low-key trash. Like, why would Goku need to train some guy after he just spent his life training his own sons and stuff? Like, it's just dumb. But still, the show is a classic of the ages. It's like the ancestor of all the other shows in its genre. I give it a legend out of influence, and I recommend you all check it out if you haven't. And speaking of check it out, attention niggeros, as you may have seen, I just dropped an EP. It includes songs such as
all you lame niggas suck ass. I am not dissing, I'm just stating facts. All of a sudden you bitches gon' start talking crazy till hitters leave you on your back. I do this rapping for money, most of you niggas is dummies. All of my days looking sunny, don't try no games with me if you're not ready, cause nigga you look a bit funny. Fuck on a hoe just one time and she calling me by the way, them bitch don't be calling me honey. Riding through with green and shit, niggas can't believe this shit. Making moves when back in school I was a lame that needed shit. Looking at me makes you niggas mad, I know you grieving this. Saw you fuck niggas, it helps so I'm happy, I'm trying to give all these dumb bitches a clue. Try me again, let Raditz show you little nigga, you'll end up receiving your due. You gonna end up in a blunt, you a kind of the south and you still don't know what you should do. If you are a problem then I fix it, feel it's just shots make you feel it and turn you to goo. Niggas can't reach me, niggas can't reach me. Now I got money, I don't want no leeching. When I was broken, nobody was reaching. Now I got fun, so don't talk while I'm speaking.
If you like those songs, you can copy them on iTunes or stream them on Spotify. I'll link them in the description and the iTunes at the end screen. And also just remember that as far as quality is concerned, the series actually ended 3 years earlier than you thought it did. Okay guys, make sure that when you subscribe you hit the notification button, because that lets you know whenever I make a new video. And as always, thanks for watching.